The President of Kazakhstan sent a congratulatory telegram to the Sultan of Oman. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev congratulated Haytham bin Tariq Al Said on his accession to the throne on behalf of people of Kazakhstan. He expressed his confidence that Oman will continue to follow the path of prosperity under the leadership of the Sultan. I assure of my readiness to make every effort to continue working together in the future in order to expand the bilateral cooperation based on principles of friendship and mutual understanding for the benefit of our people. I wish you success in all your endeavors in your high office, and I wish the people of Oman well-being and prosperity, the telegram says. Kazakhstan has taken the chairmanship over the global group of landlocked developing countries for 2020 and 2021. During the chairmanship, Kazakhstan plans to actively contribute to implementation of the Vienna Programme of Action for the LLDC and the UN Sustainable Development Goals through enhanced cooperation of the group countries with transit countries, as well as with the UN agencies and other interested parties on regional basis. The lack of the territorial access to the sea, remoteness and isolation from the world markets, and also high transit costs pose serious obstacles to the general social and economic development of the landlocked countries. Sea trade of these countries is completely dependent on transit through other countries. Additional border crossings and long distance from global markets significantly increase transport costs. The landlocked developing countries include 32 states, including 16 countries from the African continent and 10 countries from Asia, specifically all 5 Central Asian countries and Afghanistan. 4 European countries and 2 South American countries are also part of the LLDC group. Nearly 60 people were injured to various degrees as a result of anti-government protests in Iraq. Victims included 48 policemen and 11 students. Demonstrations in Iraq have been continuous since October last year. The United Nations reported that approximately 300 people in the country have been killed in riots over this time. The protesters have been opposing poor living conditions, unemployment and corruption. The United States offered North Korea to resume negotiations on denuclearization. This has been reported by local media with reference to the United States National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien. The two countries have been holding negotiations on denuclearization of North Korea since 2018. Donald Trump has previously announced that he's ready to lift sanctions if the country will reach an agreement on this issue. French authorities offer some concessions to protesters over the pension reform. The Prime Minister of France, Edouard Philippe, sent a letter to French unions. The letter says that the French government has intentionally and temporarily abandoned the most controversial element of the pension reform, the increase of the retirement age from 62 to 64 years. The letter came amid protests in many large cities of the country. During the rallies in Paris, there were clashes between radical demonstrators and the police. A group of demonstrators with their faces covered began to break shop windows and bombard the police with various items. In response, the law enforcement officers used tear gas. The pumping equipment manufacturing enterprise in the Almaty region is a good example of close economic cooperation between Kazakhstan and Germany. The German conglomerate invested 3.5 million euros in the factory's construction. The facility consists of a high-tech center for the production and testing of pumping systems. German investors highlighted that initially they planned to build the factory in Georgia, but then decided to choose Kazakhstan due to its strategically favorable geographical location. We produce the pumps for drainage, water supply and heating. These are 3 main areas. We have made nearly 70 pumping units. Next year, we plan to double this production capacity. Today, Germany is one of the leading foreign economic partners of Kazakhstan. There are over 900 companies with German capital operating in Kazakhstan. Experts said that within the last 14 years alone, Germany has invested $8.5 billion in Kazakhstan's economy. The soybean oil and soybean meal producing enterprise in Almaty region increases its export volumes. On average, more than 20% of soybean oil and meal produced in Almaty are exported to Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, China, and Afghanistan. Due to the introduction of innovative technologies, the plant can process more than 200 tons of raw materials per day. The working process is controlled by the computer. Even if you press a button, it's up to a computer to turn on the button. Thus, the human factor is excluded to a greater extent. We receive a lot of orders from Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, China, and Afghanistan. They reach out to cooperate with us. Most of them say that they are ready to purchase the whole amount of products that we can produce. The company doesn't plan to export the entire volume of the products yet. It plans to increase the plant's capacity in order to meet the needs of the domestic market at a high level. Buses of Tajik manufacturers that meet the international Euro 5 standard started operating in Dushanbe. All the conditions for comfort and safety of passengers are created. Video surveillance, air conditioning, and the non-cash payment system are provided in the buses. There is no need to employ ticket inspectors. Self-closing automatic doors are installed. Drivers won't be distracted from the road in order to collect fares, since the payment will be done only via the electronic transport cards. Currently, buses are launched in test mode on one of the busy routes in order to improve public transport services. Eventually, one of the 3 bus models will be selected and put into mass production. I like the new mini buses. They are comfortable. They allow non-cash payment, which is very convenient. I purchased a student transport card which gives a 15% discount for each trip. The street survey and online testing among public will be conducted to find out the best bus model. The minibuses will be manufactured at the Metropolitan Factory. The factory spokespeople stated that once the capital's bus fleet is fully renewed, the vehicles will be exported. The plov index has been introduced in Uzbekistan in order to measure the inflation rate in the country. The list of ingredients to cook 1 kilogram of the Uzbek national meal has been compiled for calculations. Specialists have analyzed prices of products in different regions. They compared the price of 1 kilogram of rice and carrots, the amount of meat and other ingredients. According to results, the most expensive plov is made in the Samarkand region. Customers pay approximately $2 per meal and nearly $15 per kilogram of plov.
Winner of the 100 New Faces of Kazakhstan National Project promotes media diplomacy. For several years, Elnara Baynazarova has been making her contribution to the development of cultural relations between Kazakhstan and the European Union. In her work, she has been using various media tools, from organization of film festivals and children's exhibitions to the production of documentaries. Elnara Baynazarova is well known for her documentary film about international relations of Kazakhstan and the EU. Last winter, the film was premiered in Kazakh language. Among my projects are the release of the documentary film dedicated to the 25th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Kazakhstan and the EU. Also soon, our new Kazakh language TV program 10 Faces of Europe will premiere on Khabar 24. It will be a weekly broadcast about the successful results of European integration and specific cases that can be applied in Kazakhstan, in our region. Elnara Baynazarova has received a long list of awards and regalia. There is no doubt that the impressive resume is the result of her hard work. The victory in 100 New Faces of Kazakhstan National Project is her new achievement. The most important thing that the project gives is the expansion of our opportunities for networking, new collaborations, and new projects. I already have a couple of ideas of how we can collaborate together. I believe that we can create something big, something useful for the society in Kazakhstan. A resident of Kazakhstan's capital city, Oljas Sakenov, presented the Digital University project during the selection process of the Presidential Youth Staff Reserve. He said that the internet platform will provide an opportunity to every Kazakh citizens to learn the skills needed for the professions that are in demand today. The list of courses will be created based on the requests of potential students. Oljas is a graduate of Bolashak Scholarship Program and he holds a master's degree. He considers being part of the Presidential Youth Staff Reserve as a huge responsibility. There are many opportunities out there whereby the participation will help us to improve our knowledge and move to the next level of development. Therefore, I would like to wish everyone to not be afraid to participate in such projects.
Vice Rector of the Hoja Ahmed Yasavi International Kazakh-Turkish University, Kamalbek Birkimbayev, who holds PhD in education, believes that poems and words of edification of Abay Xunanbaylı are heritage of Kazakhs and the entire world. He opined that each country is associated with a remarkable person and Abay is a brand of Kazakhstan. His works are still relevant and Abay studies is being introduced in schools. Kamalbek Birkimbayev also highlighted that the president's article promotes Abay's works among Kazakhs and foreigners. The article is dedicated to the celebration of the upcoming anniversary of the outstanding Kazakh poet and educator.
Абай әр уақытта осы қазақтың ғылымға, ілімге, білімге терең бой ұрса, әлемге танытатындай бір үлкен.
Abay told people to study and educate themselves. He wanted his compatriots to become worthy members of society and thus to glorify the country. He wrote about this in his works. The president's article says about the opportunity of glorifying our country thanks to Abay and to make him a brand of the country.
Қазақта бұл Абай арқылы, Абайдың өлеңдері арқылы әлем бізді танытатындай деңгейде болуымыз.
Kostanay intellectuals believe that literary legacy of Abay should be introduced in higher and secondary educational institutions. They concluded this after reading the Abay and Kazakhstan in the 21st century article of the President of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. Everyone can understand the concept of a complete person by discovering Abay's idea. Therefore, classes where students will study works of the great Kazakh poet are necessary in higher and specialized secondary educational institutions. The poetry collection of Kazakh poet Toregildi Tuyakbay was presented in Nur-Sultan. The author has spent 20 years on his 4-volume work, which reveals a new genre in modern Kazakh poetry, Sözbiye. Toregildi Tuyakbay claims that this literary genre develops new facets of poetic art, which gives a new perspective to the unique literature works of the great poet and philosopher Abay. Toregildi Tuyakbay dedicated his book to the 175th anniversary of Abay. He said that the book was published in Kazakh language with a circulation of 5,000 copies. In the near future, the book will be translated to other languages.
Это как новый жанр поэзии. Уже серьезные литературные критики, поэты, мои коллеги из других стран уже воспринимают.
It's a new poetry genre. Accomplished literary critics, poets, and my colleagues from different countries agree with me. Our Abay is a brand of Kazakhstan. For example, the British were promoting Shakespeare as the national brand. As a result, the whole world knows Shakespeare. The Germans focused on Goethe. We should promote Abay beyond Kazakhstan to popularize him around the world.
И, например, немцы своим Goethe. Мы должны Абая вынести рамки Казахстана, чтобы весь мир знал.
The monument of Kazakh educator Abay Xunanbaylı is planned to be erected in Kokshetau. Currently, local authorities are considering 7 design sketches. This has been announced by Mayor of the city Amangelde Smailov, who also said that changes are expected to be made in the regional center this year. Construction of the Palace of Youth with 1,500 seats will be completed as part of the preparation for the Russia-Kazakhstan Interregional Cooperation Forum. Main events are planned to be held in the center. In addition, the mayor also plans to improve the embankment of the Kopa Lake.